proceed with our motions on, let's start with, do I hear a motion as to Slaughterhouse 5?
I make a motion that we restrict Slaughterhouse 5 to grades 11 and 12 with parent permission.
Second.
All right, do I hear any discussion?
I just want to respond to that one, Mr. Chair. All of these books that has come before us, I would say that what I'm grateful for is that there are checks and balances. There are parties on both ends. I have to, in my teaching, my thought process of reading that book also, I learned a little bit more about World War II and about the atrocity that happened in that bombing, and I would say it would be a travesty to not have this book in circulation for its just the knowledge and the historical value of what has happened, where we have come from as a country, as a unified. So, thank you.
I would just like to also comment that that was one of the suggestions of the committee member comments, is that they felt like it was more appropriate to 11th and 12th grade, that they think that if students in our advanced ACE students in those classes might find some benefit, I think that reading that perspective needs a maturity level to it, and I think that that would be an appropriate place for it.
So I'd like to make a few comments. When I was in high school, in Clearwater, I would leave high school every day at noon and work at a bookstore. It was me and all retired ladies. And I remember the book, Slaughterhouse 5. It was actually a pretty big seller. And it was considered somewhat of a classic. I don't really know how to define that. When I told my wife that was one of the challenge books, she went to a very conservative Christian school outside Philadelphia, and her class read the book. I'm just not in a position to go down the slippery slope of banning books. Most importantly, because I trust the process, I trust the people sitting at this table, I trust the media specialists, I trust the committees, and for Ms. Moore to be able to challenge what other people think is important for their kids to read, it's just not right when the process has worked here. And we are, I think, thumbing our nose at the people that we believe in. Very, very smart people who aren't interested in putting just smut on the bookshelves for our students. They've thought it through. They've gone to school for this. And now we're going to tell them they're wrong. I just think that's not correct. We have a process. Parents can restrict their child from reading these books. Look how many books have been removed. That's the process working, I suppose. That's all I have. Yes.
In support of Mrs. Barrera's motion, I'd like to remind everybody that these are not books that are being taught as a class set within the context of a classroom setting. These are library books, and we need to remember that it's a choice kind of thing. But I agree with Mrs. Barrera's position in that I think that book is for a more mature audience, and if we need parental consent to read it, well, okay. But I just think that it's important to remember that these books that we're talking about today are not being taught in a literature class.
Any further discussion? I'll call for a vote. So let's make sure I understand what motion is on the table. There's a motion to restrict Slaughterhouse 5 to grades 11 and 12. If you're in favor of that motion, say aye.
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. I understood you to add a second condition
11 and 12 or for under?
For 11 and 12 with parent permission. As the comments said, and it was a mixed vote from the review committee, I think that would be the most appropriate for this book.
All right, is everyone clear on what the motion is? There's a motion and there's a second. If you're in favor of those two conditions regarding this book, please say aye.
Aye.
If you're opposed, say nay. Nay. Looks like the vote with those conditions. Have we voted?
I'm gonna say nay because I want to clarify something. So would I make another motion?
Sure.
I'm not sure. What's the vote? What is the vote? Let's go down.
3-2.
Nay.
I'm gonna go.
Restate the motion. The motion was to restrict the book to 11th and 12th grade with parental permission.
Okay. And those who voted yea, raise your hand. 2. And those who voted nay, raise your hand. Okay, so the book is not, there's no restrictions on the book. Let's move to the second book.
There's another motion.
Okay, sorry.
I would like to say the same motion that Ms. Barrera said, but not require the parent permission for those who are in those over the age of, 17, 18, that they could read it.
It could be 16.
So that's where my, is when they're at that age, they might not need the parent's permission.
All right, do you want to restate a motion and see if there is a second?
So I make a motion that it be restricted to 11 and 12th grade.
I'll second it for purpose of discussion.
All right, any discussion?
Yeah, I want the discussion in terms of if we're going back to the rules and policies of how we get to this point. I'm just kind of, my thought process is that 11th and 12th graders, and now we're excluding maybe 10th graders and 9th graders when we are saying the book is okay. I think parental responsibility should be incorporated in that 9th and 12th grade level, as well as the consideration of the students also Bill of Rights in that consideration process.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I would agree with, again, we're looking at students that are 14 and 15, saying is this appropriate for them? But a parent might think that it is, so that's where the conundrum lies. Somebody under an age that could not go to an R-rated movie, but could go with a parent's permission. That's where I'm kind of putting myself. So is parental, is Mr. Coleman saying parental permission for under the age, or under 11th and 12th grade?
I think that's already in our policy that the parents have to sign. Am I not correct? If a parent does not want their child to read that book, they can sign off for them not to read it.
That's correct. But a restriction.
However, consider with over 10,000 books at our school, most parents don't have the knowledge of the content of each of those books. And so that's why I had the notion of 11th and 12th grade with parent permission. That was why my motion was 11th and 12th grade with parent permission, because it is mature information, and because that falls in line with the information shared from some of the staff.
Ms. Collins?
Is there ability to restrict it to those those grade levels?
Or
With parent permission?
if we make a request for that to happen, it can happen.
And I've already heard this with our school board attorney.
And quite frankly, there is now quite a list that's floating around of books that folks have objections to. So it's not that hard to figure out if you are interested in keeping your child from seeing a book. I'm sure Ms. Moore would share her list. And there's also a list of those that have been retained and removed. So I don't think it's, although you say 10,000 books, I don't think we're really, it's not that difficult to figure out if you don't want your child to read a particular book. But I think right now we have a motion with a second to restrict the book to 11th and 12th grade. Correct?
Correct.
Any further discussion? All right, this is restricting Slaughterhouse 5 to 11th and 12th grade. If you're in favor of that, say aye. Opposed, say nay. Nay? Everyone voted, correct? Okay, 4 to 1, that would be the